But now that we're in the draft, anything that we're to expect from Bravado? I guess you have all the intel. You're the ex-drafter of the team. What do you think they're going to be looking for here?
I don't know. I mean, in this particular matchup, has nothing to do with being the ex-draft of the team, but it did seem like, I mean, we're going to go on and on about Thompson, but it seemed like these guys were under the impression that they lost 2-1 against this team previously, and the game that they won was the one where they shut down Thompson. They're not that scared of anyone else in this team, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they're providing support for Seam in the mid lane, or just generally putting pressure on Thompson, whichever hero he ends up playing.
Mm-hmm.
Time for support Mirana then?
Maybe. I haven't actually seen Bravado Emotion running it that much, so I'm not so sure. And if you saw the drafts they were doing yesterday, I mean, I don't want to be judgmental, but basically what I'd call a boring draft with lots of tanky things that can't die and support spells that keep things alive. I don't know if Harry, if you saw the picked the tree
and Abaddon.
Yeah.
So
I'm sort of hoping they won't do that here because it doesn't really make for the most exciting viewing.
Well, they got like 4 kills, dual lane versus tri lane, in like I'd say 7 or 8 minutes. That's pretty exciting, right?
Okay, I mean, obviously it could be exciting, but there we go. First pick glitch.
What's going on?
You know what? Do you know what first pick glitch says to me? I think that glitch is going to be dual laning mid. I think this is their way of handling Thompson.
You really think that they couldn't get Lich as a later pick?
Well, but this is, I mean, so I spoke about Seam before, right? He drafted a bit in Energy like a year and a half ago. He's been drafting again now, but I don't think he fancies himself to be like this hardcore drafter with all this drafting experience who really knows what's going on. So I think if they have an idea and they're sure of that idea, he'll start there. And Lich to me just says dual lanes. Whether or not the Lich will be mids, they want to do dual lanes because they want to control the lane stage and they want to reduce the impact of the Thompson, which Invoker it looks like.
Well, the last time he played Invoker, he went what I would argue to be the worst Invoker build I've ever seen, going Exort Wex with max Alacrity and a Rod of Atos, so I'm not even sure that I'd be afraid of his Invoker.
Well, I was actually watching that match and with my teammates, and we were saying how it looked almost like that was a matchup where 4Love were so convinced they'd win that people were just kind of like doing whatever they felt like. So maybe we'll see something different this game.
I don't imagine he'll go back to that. I also thought that it was kind of him just sticking around because I don't think anyone would ever do that seriously. But yeah, so well, back to your thing. You said that the teams were reverse seeded, but so Infused were actually seeded as their second to worst, and you're saying that they'd be the second to best, and then this one would be the best. But
they're meant to be a third best.
Third best, yeah. But Scant would be saying that they're the second best.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because he said it was reverse seeded. So, but that. Like that, well, I mean, obviously it's kind of proved to be the case since Infused have moved on, but I don't know if you saw, when I cast the first game, Infused is actually a team that we've scrimmed against, personally, and we won pretty easily, so I was pretty shocked. Like, my prediction was that you guys were going to 2-0 them because I didn't rate them very highly at all. So you really think that they're the best team in this tournament? Or, well maybe other than Bravado Emo?
So, I mean, I don't know if you watched when my team played against Infused. I mean, the first game, which was sort of a real Dota game, we won that game, and the other two we failed to react appropriately to very cheese push strats. So I don't know. I mean, Infused is, and I saw them do it against another team after that. I can't remember which, but it seems like Infused is a team that can pull these kind of cheese push strats out. And they're also, we saw last match where they won. They're a team that understands very well how to get good trades and make value trades. So I don't think they're out of our reach. I mean, yeah, they beat us. I don't think... Okay, this might be my pride speaking, but I don't think that either of the UK teams that my team lost to are out of our reach by any means. And I don't think any of these 4 teams are out of Bravado Emotion's reach at all, which is why I keep confidently saying that they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean... I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so I've got to step it up for the UK guys here. I think you guys have got to watch the hell out.
Which is appropriate, because you're speaking with the accent, right? So
Well, you know, Scant, to me, you're also speaking with the accent.
So are you trying to say that you can't distinguish our accents?
No,
I can. Okay, good. That's important, because there are a lot of people who seem to confuse the South African accent for some kind of UK accent.
Well, I've told you, I mean, I've said it many times. I would have more difficulty distinguishing your accent from an Australian accent than I would your accent from a UK accent. Although I still think I'd be able to, assuming that you guys were talking about like Barbies or the Outback or something.
Let's check out this Kunkka pick. What do you make of the Kunkka, guys?
10 seconds remaining.
Scant? Oh, did Scant drop, maybe?
His internet may have exploded,
Yeah.
so you
Hang
just-
hang on. I'm here. I survived. So the Kunkka pickup with the Shadow Demon, obviously there's synergy there, right? You hit your torrents after the disruptions. They've also got the synergy with the Shadow Demon into the Invoker Sunstrike, so there's some very straight up synergy in their picks. The interesting thing, obviously, about the Kunkka pick is that you'd expect it to be mid, you'd also expect the Invoker to be mid, and now we have to ask the question of which one of those heroes is actually going to be safe laning.
Yeah, well, it could also indicate that they want to aggressive trial lane since they expect the dual lanes from Bravado Emotion. Maybe, they expect a dual mid and a dual top, and they could end up just putting like a dual, or they're trialing against the dual lane, although that runs the risk of running into the dodging strategy. My biggest question about the whole Shadow Demon Kunkka thing is that, like, so Shadow Demon Kunkka, this is a strategy obviously I've known for a long time too, but now that I've seen the effectiveness of just getting early points in X, like, basically all the Shadow Demon amounts to in this combination is allowing the Kunkka to have one more point in Torrent and one more point in Tidebreaker, or Tidebringer, which, like, is it really worth it putting that hero with him just to give him those 2 skill points?
Well, you can also go disruption into torrent and then use the X afterwards to follow up if you want. So there's value you can get. I mean, I see your point.
And it comes on earlier too, obviously. Like the Kunkka needs more levels in order to do the X before, whereas the Tidebringer torrent, I mean disruption torrent, you can do from level 1, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of levels, one thing Shadow Demon, a lot of people often forget this. Shadow Demon sets up arrows, sets up torrents, but the damage amplification from Shadow Demon is really important to these combos as well, right? Making sure that the hero gets burst really, really fast.
Yeah. So, well, getting back into this game, Zoot, whose draft do you like more?
You're asking the most experienced player here.
Well, I wanted to get you engaged in this a little bit, so.
It's difficult. I can't really tell exactly what Bravado Emotion are doing yet. That's like the one big problem I'm having. I mean, Lich off lane, maybe a safe lane. I mean, it hasn't really materialized itself into anything properly. Whereas For Love looks vaguely solid. There's a bit of split push over there. They've got some combos, maybe for some early ganks. I don't know what they're gonna do with Kunkka late game, but I don't have a conclusion at the moment. Even when I can see both teams 5 heroes clearly, even then I might struggle. Wraith King.
Yeah, that's got to be a seam hero here, I guess, with the Lich Wraith King in the mid? Or do you think this... No?
No, I think that... Sorry to cut you off, but I think that this is a Donnie Marana, and it's a Flair's Wraith King.
Oh.
And Seam's hero is still coming.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's possible. I mean, I'm just used to seeing Flair's play Marana a lot more recently, but I know that Donnie obviously can play it.
10 seconds.
I guess it's definitely possible.
Flair's does play it more often than Donnie, but I would say that Donnie is usually the one playing it if there's going to be some kind of Marana Lich dual lane, which looks possible to me here. They might want to set up the Wraith King and Rubik in the safe lane, the Marana and Lich in the off lane, and just pick a mid hero. And that way, it allows their supports to actually rotate quite a bit lane, and the cores to do well anyway.
One thing it could be is still a Donnie Slark, which has been hauling ass. But I don't know how that fits into what there is at the moment. You did say that Donnie's already got his hero figured out, but
well, if they do want to pick the Slark, then Flares will just play the Marana. That definitely can work.
Okay.
Yeah. Slark definitely has some viability here. Now, the biggest weakness for him is that Kunkka is actually quite good at killing him, but they don't really have any good lockdown for dealing with the Slark, and I don't know, I mean, he can definitely make a Nature's Prophet life miserable, although at the same time Enigma is quite good against Slark as well, so I don't know. I mean, 5th pick Enigma, Scant, I know, or at least I think you agree with me, that this is maybe a little bit of undervaluing this hero, and also 5th picking it against a Rubik. A little bit strange?
I don't know. Like, the Rubik Enigma thing is something that's historically a bit overstated. You see professional teams first picking Enigma these days, so clearly Rubik is not that much of a hard counter. I mean, the one thing is that Enigma's just not that much about Black Hole anymore. Midnight Pulse is ridiculously strong, so is the stun, the ability to farm the fast mech and push. And just speaking of Enigma, moving the conversation on a bit, I don't see any way that Bravado Emotion can take a 5v5 fight in the late game or even the mid game with these lineups. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I would tend to agree completely. The problem is that they don't really have any good way of re-engaging after the Wraith King slow, because most of their stuff they're going to blow in the initial engagement, and then they have absolutely nothing to follow up with, like the Darkseer type things or AoE ultimates. And similarly, I don't know, I mean, they're going to rely quite a bit on just the Lich and Puck combination doing a significant amount early on, and also, like, they're very single target except for those two things, and obviously For Love have the Shadow Demon, which is excellent against that, and I think the Wraith King is gonna, I mean, he doesn't feel like he could do anything here.
But this is, so what this is Bravado Emotion have drafted for lanes, because usually if you can't take the team on 5v5, you can at least win with split push, and actually, I would say that For Love actually have the strongest split push lineup with the Nature's Prophet there. So this is BVD going for the lane stage, and if it works, it's going to be very emphatic, right? They're going to get an early advantage, and you'll notice it, and they'll gain a lot of value out of it. If it doesn't work, we might be a bit worried for them later on.
What was the team that always did this, that always drafted for the lanes? Was it Liquid, I think? That were really obsessed. I mean, I'm thinking back to that article you turned me on to of Bucking Mad, I believe it was. And he was talking about the different types of teams, and I think he was referring to Liquid as a team that would like always draft for just purely based on the lanes.
It might have been Liquid. I'm not sure actually. I think an older incarnation of Mouse Sports definitely did it. It was probably Sigma, but that would be weird because that was the team he was in.
Yeah, I don't think he was talking about his team in that regard. I think there was another team. I'm gonna guess he was like, anyway, dude, the players.
Yeah, I'm going to take you guys through the lineups a little bit. This is the lower bracket finals that we've got here in this Bravado Brawl tournament. The winner of this will be making it through to the money and playing Infuse tomorrow. Here on Bravado Emotion, we've got Ferrari 458 on the Lich. We've got Donny on the Marana as well with him. Seam in mid with Puck. We've got Habibi making his way top. With the Rubik, praise Habibi. Flares is going to be on the Wraith King. Topson on the Invoker in mid. Seso is going to be on the Nature's Prophet. We've got Thompson on the Enigma. Arya on the Shadow Demon. And Jesus is on the Kunkka. We did see early on that Bravado Mission, they just wanted to smoke up, get inside the Radiant Jungle, and ward up a few camps, and this is surely just to make the Enigma's life a living hell, at least for the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, and praise Habibi, apparently. As we see that message pop up, Habibi's gone in on the Nature's Prophet early on. He used the telekinesis, had a DD rune, got a little bit of a wrestle, although not really that much value. And it looks like this top lane is pushing a bit for BVD Emo, which is really not what they want to be happening, because Staso is going to be getting a lot of value early on in this Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, he was gonna send the trees to actually prevent the pull too, so they're gonna actually have to just force him back underneath the tower in order to prevent him from getting experience. And I don't know how comfortable they are going to be doing that. And no, actually, the creep waves are going to meet perfectly, but they're not even going to be able to do that. So he's going to get a ton of experience here. Seam actually taking a lot of damage here in the mid. Went up quite far on this Invoker and just getting punished for it. It's a good thing he started with a Sal rather than the 2 branches. Otherwise, this would be a kind of rough laning phase for him. So the one thing, Scant, do you like the Sentry War here rather than just putting it in the spot that blocks the 2 camps? I mean, did they think maybe it's just common that spot now and that it would just get sentryed? Because the Enigma didn't actually end up buying sentries, so in the end would have been much more efficient to place it there.
He does have sentries now, though, doesn't he? He's just been given one. So,
yeah.
So I guess, I mean, you have to expect that there will be sentry wards, and I think it's good to try and, when you're blocking enemy spawns, use your wards so that they're hard to unblock. I think it's a bit greedy these days to go for 2 and 1.
Although he ended up actually dewarding in a spot that wouldn't have gotten the one that blocked both, and instead got the one that they placed. So that's a bit random.
Yeah. Speaking of Enigma though, something I find very interesting, Thompson last game was playing Phantom Assassin. He seems to be the usual carry player, now he's on the jungle Enigma, and Beso, who was playing Disruptor last game, is on the Nature's Prophet. So, I mean, which is more likely, that they have a specific Enigma player or that they have a specific Nature's Prophet player?
This is why we need Durka here to tell us this information, I think. But it is, I noticed as well, it's a very strange adjustment to the lineup, at least for us who are not used to it. And I'm wondering if it's going to have an impact.
It happens especially when teams are trying to be greedy, right? When you have junglers. One of the games, when in the game where my team actually beats Infused, I ended up playing as off lane even though I'm not. And look at the top lane, there's Red King Sun going to come out, Rubik's Telekinesis followed by the Lift. They're going to try and beat down this Nature's Prophets, and his treants are actually blocking him a bit. He might just go down one more hit. Oh, there's going to be a Red King Sun, and that's first blood.
Nicely done, Flares. That's going to be really useful as well, where Red King kind of was the king of the hill through, and that was the tiebreaker between Infused and Phileb. Maybe we'll see a bit of a replication of that. Is there an arrow I just heard flying out? Well, if there was, it didn't hit a damn thing.
Yeah, there was an arrow, didn't hit anything. The Nature's Prophet actually was going for his boots there, I think. I'm not sure, but the Red King and the Rubik both already had boots, and his treants actually blocked him a bit, so he'll feel a little bit silly about that, I think.
Well, the other thing though, BB was a little bit trigger happy there. He actually lifted like immediately at the end of the stun there, and it's not like, you know, you're playing against a Mirana or an anti-mage or something where you need to make sure the stuns chain into each other perfectly. Instead, he could have actually allowed the slow to linger for a little bit, which would have given them some more time to hit him, and then follow with the telekinesis afterwards. And in that case, they actually wouldn't have needed to use the second Wraith King stun, which is not like obviously a huge thing. They still got the first blood, but like I don't know. Then he would just have one more stun now, which makes him a little bit more dangerous.
We're getting Midas here on Flares.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is going Midas. It's either that or the fast blink, but usually if you go for the fast blink, you'll get treads or something first. Harry, I actually wanted to ask you about the skill board on the Wraith King, because last game I was kind of criticizing a bit, but maybe I'm just wrong. Is it the one position Wraith King that always gets that early mortal strike point, or?
I don't think so. Well, honestly, like we don't really see one position Wraith King very much anymore, so it's pretty rare to actually see it. But I saw this last game, and I was also thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking, why does this guy have? I mean, and there it was even different though. It was actually not even a one position; it was a three position because they were aggressive tri-lining. So like, yeah, it was an aggressive tri-line Wraith King with stun at level 2. But I think that's weird to me. I don't think that's right. I think. Yeah, I would just, I mean, maybe since they feel that they need to push, he could gain lifesteal, but I definitely would have just gone for stats, although he has gotten the 1 point stats, but...
Did he get any crits
Disruption
when they made that
bottom, guys, hang on. Oh, and there's going to be Donny, he's going to be escaping that, doesn't take any damage, he just leaped away immediately, but we have got help in from Soso. This could be 2 Bravado players falling. Donny, he's trying to walk away over here, he hasn't got anything to cut through, but there's a tree already open. What's he doing? He's trying to get a kill, but he can't quite get the damage. And that is 2 for nothing there for the 4 left players.
Yeah, that was a really good torrent as well, catching the Lich, because they would have only got 1 kill if not for the direct torrent without any setup.
What? So, well, there's 2 things now. Why didn't Donnie just run up? Like, the spot was actually open. Maybe he just thought that it wouldn't be open if the other team was actually the ones who tangoed through it earlier on, and that's why he didn't?
I felt he could get a kill with his Starlight.
I don't know, though. I mean, even if he gets the kill, it's not worth it, killing a Shadow Demon just to die. Also, the other thing that could have actually ended up being what cost them there was just the fact that he has treads instead of phase boots.
Thomas is trying to go for a rush right now.
Yeah, which is something that he definitely can do at this stage in the game, as long as his micro is right, and there's a small timing window where as your conversion cools down, you have to use it like within 1 second or the Eidolons disappear, which... There's funny ways you can mess it up. If you try to do it, if you try press like the hotkey right before it's cooled down, usually that stops you actually getting it. So you just need to be a bit disciplined about it, and you should easily kill Roshan.
Well, you should be looking good for this one, and it's not being scouted out at all. We got Thompson making his way in mid. No, he's not going to find any position on scene. Not that you can catch out a puck too easily. And disruption. Here on Ferrari, and we've got the torrent to follow as well, but it's just to scare them off right now.
I just want to ask another question about hero assignment, because we said that Beso was playing Disruptor last game, but wasn't Jesus playing Tree as well? So both their supports are not playing support this game. Both the people who did play support last game.
Yeah, I think you're right. Nepali Jesus was actually playing support last time. He was playing the tree, so that's a weird switch up. Well, I was gonna say maybe we see why they Roshan, and that was something that they considered doing from the early point of the game. Like in the draft, they were talking about it, so he picked it. But yeah, the other switch, a little bit weirder, but I guess, I mean, Kunkka, it's a very specific hero. Like, I consider myself to be a pretty good player overall, although that might be a little bit greedy, but whatever. However, I wouldn't even begin to try to claim that I'm a good Kunkka player, so like, if someone else said they can play Kunkka, I'd be happy to give it to him.
Dire's middle tower is
Zoot, are you a good Kunkka player?
Harry knows the answer to this.
I don't know, did you actually play Kunkka?
I played Kunkka with you quite a bit, and I think 9 times out of 10 I was pretty
Oh, hang
abysmal.
on,
But we
there's
got
Disruption Unit,
teleport in.
Black Hole catching up, Mirana and Shadow Demon. Oh, sorry, Mirana and Lich, and that's going to be Sunstruck to finish off the... No, not finish off the Lich. Thompson's going to try and chase the finish off. He's got the Aegis, remember that, so Thompson goes down, but he's going to respawn, and Mirana and Rubik taking down the Shadow
Wow.
Demon. Now Enigma's going to come up.
What has just happened over here? Thompson coming in. The Aegis is gone. This is already 3-man full. Have they got any way to take it down? No, well, just a lot of DPS is going to do the trick right there. Bravado Emotion coming out with a huge win in the bottom lane. Oh, that's Get Wrecked UK.
Yeah, there's some shocking coordination there from the side of Flint, because that was a pretty much an entire black hole, and the Sunstrike came only afterwards. I'm not sure if it was that it just cooled down or something.
Yeah, I was following down lower around the fight where the coil kind of got taken. I should have panned out because I probably could have caught the whole lot of the action, but I mean, I guess the bottom part of the
There's definitely going to be a kill attempt somewhere from Bravado Emotion. They wouldn't be using it for nothing.
Hello.
And the Nature's Prophet's going to be the victim in the top lane. He gets stunned by the Wraith King, and he's going to get Starfall taken down very easily. And Bravado Emotion, as I said early after the drafts, really trying to dominate this lane stage and get an early advantage.
Oh, you know who else is getting an early advantage? This Invoker. I was looking at this, and I was waiting for the chance to say something. So this, at this point, I mean, either he considers Bravado Emo also not serious opponents, and he's still trolling around, or he thinks that this is an actual Invoker build, because doing it again, ugh.
I think it's, look, I think there's at least an argument to be made for it. It's easy to be dismissive of a build when it's not the norm, but if it works, it works. And look, Atos can actually do a lot of stuff with Meteor and EMP, and that's usually seems to be his build of choice. You know, you slow the guy, you EMP, you Meteor. The downside, I guess, is that Invoker seems to struggle early on to abuse the low cooldown of the Atos because the spells have such big cooldowns.
It's also that he's like only damage, and I mean the EMP...
Harry. If Flint win this game, will you maybe think about agreeing with Thompson?
No, absolutely not. There's going to be action top though. So
Arya being stunned down. Yeah, you're dead. The damage here in the early levels is just really tremendous for the Bravado guys. And they found a couple more. There is no reincarnation for Flares. Are there any players coming in to give an assistance? I think Flares might go down. He's trying to do the most amount of damage possible. Seem that, oh, here comes Donny. He's coming in to do a fat lump of damage. So a Kunkka, ooh, I was gonna a Kunkka, but then the Rubik died because Seiso's just appeared. And here comes the Midnight Pulse. And Donny's just trying to get away. The creeps are gonna kill him though. That is really upsetting. The Malefice plus creeps equals sad face. And during that time, Thompson's just... He's pushing hard.
So, yeah, this goes back to my thing about this, which is that typically more points in Wex actually makes Meteor worse, not better. Contrary to popular belief. And even though that, like, alright, I guess because they're still moving with the Atos, although they're going to move sideways, not in a straight line like they would when Deafening Blasted, so that still makes that questionable. And then, like, EMP, okay, so he has a 250 mana EMP at this point. That's nothing. I mean, that's like one spell from people. I mean, I guess against a Wraith King that's significant, but essentially no one else is ever going to really care about that. So, like, I don't think, like, it's not just that he... You know, the lack of synergy between Atos and long cooldown spells. I just think that the hero doesn't really provide anything except some moderate amount of damage.
Uh-oh, Donny. You've been external. The lead just comes in time. He's still firing out some damage. He's got all the mana he needs, and he's got some teammates coming with him, but there's a long time until he's going to be freed from those trees. Is there enough going on? Oh, no, Seam just explodes. He's even going to buy back from this. And he made it back immediately just by jaunting to his orb. And this would be enough probably to defend the tower. Was this worth the buyback little tricksy maneuver from Puck?
The question is, would the tower have lived without the buyback? It's hard for us to actually say that, so I'm not really sure, because Puck, before that death and that buyback, needed about 500 gold for Blink Dagger, and now Puck needs about 1,500 gold for Blink Dagger. And that's a really, really important pickup in this game, because, as we said earlier, like, Bravado are going to struggle in big team fights, they're going to struggle in terms of split pushing, they want to get their core items and start gaining advantage as soon as possible, and right now, they're not actually ahead in gold or XP, they're behind.
Oh, Flash has found Sos over here. Is he going to have to chase up? There's a teleport coming out on the lift. Perfect timing. Habibi. Praise Habibi for being there on time. But now, is it going to be all about the UK guys? They're storming in to the bottom tower. We've got TPs in though. Flares is coming in, but it's going all horribly wrong at the moment for the Flint players. We've got a 3-player black hole, but is there any additional support whatsoever? There isn't. We got buyback on Kunkka, but everybody's just dying. And Puck may be making back that 1,500 goal pretty quickly, and apologies for that. Whatever the hell that was.
A really, really bad fight for Flint. Kunkka not managing to get his ship off before he died. That's probably why he bought back. He thought he could still affect the fight. And now actually he's stuck here. And if Bravado knows here, they might be able to do something. Well, he's going to try and kill Donnie. Hits the torrent. Does not hit the ship.
So I was moving in and
King's
looking
going
at mid. We got pushers on mid.
Well, take a look at the bot lane. Flares. No, he's just going to back off now because there was still that ship debuff. And actually now, looks like Jesus is going to be chasing him out. Aiming the torrent, hitting the torrent.
Oh, they got the stun though! Is he going to be regretting this? We've got movement back, and Wraith King not committing. But there it is, I think they feared the Enigma a little bit. He had Reincarnate still, so I think...
He didn't have mana for Reincarnate, that was the problem. That's why he didn't
not?
use the stun when he was diving under the tower. It's because he knew that if he stunned the Kunkka, then he wouldn't be able to Reincarnate afterwards if the Kunkka hit him. So that's why he had to be so cautious there. If he just had a tiny bit more mana, could have won.
And Habibi just throwing his boat at some creeps to stop the push down here. I mean, he'd stolen Kunkka's ship a while ago and it's about to run out, so good use of it, I think, saving the tower. But they have lost the top tower, Bravado Emo, in the meantime.
They're losing the tower war right now.
Alright, so back to that 3-man black hole from the Enigma. Like, guess who was not in the guess who was, like, right there and did absolutely nothing? Hey, the Invoker. Like, honestly, if that was a Quas Wex Invoker, like, he probably doesn't do a ton either. Like, he puts the EMP on top, but they're still not actually going to kill any of the heroes, although I think it would have prevented any further chasing. But if it was an Exort Invoker, like, you know, with his Necrobook 1, maybe Necrobook 2 that he would have had at that point, plus the Forge Spirits, he would have done a significant amount of damage, killing at least 1 or 2 of those Black Hole heroes. And I mean, just look at him, he's a 0-1-0 Invoker at this point in the game. Like, is that why you first pick Invoker?
Wait for it, just wait for it, man. Thompson's gonna make his mark.
I just want to point out before I respond to what you just said, Bravado just tried to go for Mirana ulti into gang, and Thompson had a very clutch move on the Enigma. Donnie got right up next to him, was about to hit him, and he blinked out literally the instant before he got attacked, so
it was
Spidey sense working really well for him there. And top lane, it looks like there's going to be an initiation on Thompson this time. He's going to get stunned by flares, but I don't think there's any follow-up to catch him here.
Well, the initiation was actually the Invoker. He ran in, blew his whole combo on the Wraith King.
Blink now as well.
Same build as last time. Blink Dagger here, and look, the one advantage of high points and Wex that a lot of people like in Invoker is just running really fast, and we've seen that being effective right there. I want to say, Harry, that look, the argument for the Atos, it's got to just be that it's now, like, you're a hero that does all these cool, useful things, and now you're a hero that does another cool, useful thing. You know, it gives you pretty good stat gain, and it gives you an extra thing to do with combos with your stuff, where usually you only have Cold Snap to combo with the other spells.
We're gonna get a trade on towers. Oh, moving in. Habibi is gonna be dropping on this. We've got the Chain Frost just coming out. It's gonna bounce on a couple of things, but Thompson did manage to get a disruption there. Nice little dodge as well by Ferrari, avoiding further casualties. But we've got a chase. Flares is coming back. He has got no Quelling Blade at all, though. And that Torrent just a little bit late. Oh, Seam's going to detect him, and we've got the coil on Thompson, so I don't think he's going to be getting out of this. Just a safety arrow flies by in case, and I think Flares has just got to stick around, use that Midas, and then back off and get himself some of that mana and health.
They did fail to deny the tower while they were going after Thompson, which maybe you could say that he gets credit for that.
And they're going to take a tower mid too. Oh, backdoor protection for a couple seconds, but I still think this tower drops. And they're, I mean, way behind on towers. They haven't taken a single, well no, they've taken one single tower top so far at this point in the game, which again, is just like a detriment, or not detriment, I mean, it's very detrimental for them obviously, but it's just kind of like indicative of their lineup, which doesn't really push or do anything. You know, it's just strong in the lanes, and now it's kind of a bit weird. It relies on, I guess, making pickoffs.
We've got people in chat as well asking each other about Thompson's build. You're making it quite the thing, Harry. Although, I'm not saying that's a wrong of you to do so. And this time, Bravado have managed to detect this. That not the most intimidating Sunstrike I've ever seen. But Bravado guys certainly know that they've been spotted. They're going to have to fight around here, and during that time, Seiso is going to be a nuisance to the top lane, but I think they're just pushing the fight away from this completely. Seiso, you are in a lot of trouble. He's going to try and sprout himself in, but hello buddy, you got a friend in there. And this is another nice kill from the Bravado guys, and now they can focus their attention onto Roche, which is possibly what Flint are going to be looking at. Looking at the net worth chart, Flares is starting to get scary. A really farmed, especially above anybody else, Wraith King, late game is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good crits, but the concern about the team fight going into the late game for Bravado Emotion is not that they don't have a core with some DPS, it's just that the Kunkka spells and the Invoker spells and the Enigma spells just do so much more for the entire team fight than anything that's coming out of Bravado.
And it's also very easy for the Shadow Demon to counter everything that the Wraith King does. Unless the Shadow Demon gets initiated on, he's always going to disruption the person that this Wraith King goes on, and he's going to ult the Wraith King, meaning that the Wraith King is essentially just going to get kited for the rest of the fight. Kind of the weakness of the hero. So yeah, and bearing that, obviously they have the Black Hole, which is excellent against melee DPS. And given that, you know, Donnie doesn't really have items yet, a little bit scary for Bravado Emo.
Donnie actually just shot an arrow, scouted out the rush, and Seam's gonna orb as well. Well, Seam's gonna go in actually, and Kunkka's extremely low there, but I think Seam's gonna be the one who suffers for that.
He is, he's gonna die. Is there gonna be any more support with that Kunkka so low? It looks like Flint suddenly not feeling so positive about that. Little arrow comes in. Oh, that didn't quite hit him. That was really close, but they got vision. They found Thompson as well. This Invoker is going to hit the deck. Where's the vision? Et voila. Oh, we got the Black Hole. Is there any support? It's just Arya and Thompson. They haven't got the Invoker anymore. Arrow's going to finish the job, and maybe now we're going to get a chase, and this will help get the second tower for the Bravado players. Self-disruption, flares, he's got reincarnate, so he's not too fussed about it. That's going to be yet another kill.
And he's not going to tick down to the tower there either. Furion ult? No, Furion doesn't have his ultimate. Oh, speaking of Furion, he'll be catching him, but there's not going to be any backup up here, so Furion's just going to TP out. No, Puck will be not in time. Yeah. Oh. So, that coil actually, a rare misplay from Seam, who one of my old teammates thinks might be like one of the greatest players ever. Seam actually, if he'd switched his treads to int before going in there, he actually, I think, no, I can't be 100%, would have had enough mana to use coil, which actually would have killed the Kunkka and made the situation a little bit better for him, but he actually just didn't have enough mana to coil, which is why the Kunkka was able to get away and why he had a bit less of an impact than he could have.
The whole move seemed a bit YOLO to me. It seemed like he was hoping he could orb in, silence, phase shift, and then blink out, I think. Because they weren't committing heroes to actually contest the rush at that point in time, so I'm not sure if he intended to make a kill in the first place.
Oh, we've got to blink through. They knew that there's the Moonlight Shadow, but we've got the detection anyway. Arrow is going to completely scuff, but it is Flares just doing a lot of damage. Invoker comes in with the EMP. We've got detection, so the Invoker's going to fall again. It's getting better and better now for the South African team in the first game of this best-of-3 lower bracket final. And that rush is still up. It's been up for like 5 minutes now. I think maybe even longer. Are they not going to consider taking it soon? I guess they got the towers to defend, but...
The thing we saw going on in that fight was Habibi actually managed to steal Alacrity. I don't think that was his target, but he very quickly adapted and cast it on players, and I think you talk about the scary Wraith King, if you put an Alacrity on him, it becomes that much scarier.
Well, it was also very fortunate because they used the Moran ultimate and all of Flint walked right by the Wraith King, so the Wraith King was actually able to start on the Shadow Demon, who, like I said, is the most important hero for countering the Wraith King in team fights. But the other thing I want to point out, so you said it's been like 5 minutes that Roshan's been up. Well, the other thing that's been going on for about 5 minutes is this Invoker has actually been level 11 for like a really long time now. Has had absolutely no progression from getting to this point. And so, like, whether his build could be good or not, it's never going to have a chance to be good when he can't continue to get levels, because at this point, all his spells are pretty insignificant.
What do you think of the Shadow Blade as well that Kunku's just picked up? Is this a game changer, or is it just a scratch on the back for Bravado?
Yeah.
I'll
answer. That's fine. No, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it depends. Seam has treads though, and he might be phase shifted. Oh, Donnie. Oh wow, running with the meteor. Actually, going to take a fair amount of damage because of that. That almost dies. Note to self: run sideways, not back in a straight line. But yeah. Scant did reconnect, so I guess he's back now. But no, I think most of them can survive this. I don't think it's gonna be that much damage. Sunstrike actually gonna whiff. So I think Bravado will be just fine. I mean, if they're gonna have problems, it's not because of the Shadow Blade. It's because of the other conceptual issues. But they're actually gonna catch him despite the Shadow Blade.
Yeah. Whatever just happened with the Shadow Blade doesn't really make a difference anymore, and losing that Conquer very quickly. Once again, the Enigma's got to stop beating down that Roshan. Flares blinks in, Arya, he's gonna die. Habibi getting the finishing blow. And Enigma just blinks away as soon as possible. Flares is having a really nice game on this Wraith King at the moment.
Yeah, Wraith King, I mean, Wraith King is an extremely good hero to have a nice game on when the enemy teams make mistakes, and Invoker's going on the Marani, and Donnie's already used the leap. Going to be able to dodge the MP manually, and BB's going to be trying to go onto the Invoker in the meantime with Seam following up, but EMP's burnt all their mana, but don't worry, he has flares on the backside to get this done. Massive black hole to counter them.
It's not doing anything. It's hello, Thompson. Nice of you to introduce yourself to us, but I think you're going to die anyway. Flares, he's got another life on top of that.
So,
is that the third black hole we've seen this game, which caught a lot of people and didn't achieve anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the black hole count for this game, where he gets big black holes but has no teammates there, yeah, it's gotta be at least 3 or 4. I mean, and it's very difficult in a situation like that to say exactly whose fault it is. I'd say it's a little bit of both. I mean, he's gotta understand when his teammates are around and when they aren't, whether it's even worth using the black hole, but similarly, like, I don't know, his team needs to be a little more coordinated in what they're doing. Instead, like, Thompson is just kind of like still trying to make solo kills, but we saw there, like, his spells actually weren't even enough to bring down a half HP Marana, so, like...
What do you think now with the synergy, though, between the two Finns? Because the Invoker was next to the Enigma when he got that huge black hole, although Invoker was very low on health. Do you think he should have just sucked it up and tried to get a kill?
No, he had no spells left, though. He'd already used all his spells trying to kill the Marana in the first place.
Was right-clicking not enough?
No, right-clicking wouldn't have done anything. He needed to have Meteor there, but even at this point, like I said, I don't think he has enough points in Exort for the Meteor to really matter. Also,
and he wanted to run away to make sure that the black hole wasn't in vain, because the whole point was to save his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, you see what Enigma got, Scan? What do you think of that?
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's quite bold. There's a lot of stuff to cancel his black holes, but...
Oh, we got a fight again. Ferrari. Oh god, we got an arrow trying to save his buddy, but actually Ferrari going to survive anyway with the Moonlight Shadow. Stolen boat going to do 0. Wait, that was a stolen boat, right? Oh wow. This is just silly. We got Malefice now first. Going to be slightly annoying, but how bad is the damage, Harry, at the moment on Flynn? I'm checking the gold, and it's really similar to gold. However, the experience is just out of this world. How much in favor it is for Bravado.
Thompson just got wrecked in the mid lane by that Wraith King. Really, truly wrecked.
Yeah.
He died full HP to nothing in a couple of seconds.
Tyrannosaurus wrecked.
What do you think, what I wanted to finish on was, what do you think are the chances right now for Flint of coming back in this? Because even though the gold's similar, I feel like Bravado are really directing the pace of their game at the moment.
Well, sorry, Harry, do you want to answer this one?
No, that's fine, go for it.
But So Flint have the right heroes to come back, definitely, because they've got heroes that can defend the high ground all day long with AoE. They've got the Furin that can split push all day long. The issue at the moment is that, similar to last game actually, I was saying how in Infused versus Flint, both teams are just kind of hitting each other's heads against each other, and the team with the Wraith King usually comes out on top when two teams are just smashing their heads at each other, like no serious coordination. And that actually speaks to what Harry was asking me before the previous fight. Enigma's gone for an Aghanim Scepter, I think, because he sees he keeps landing. Sorry, I just missed that kill, but Enigma sees he keeps handing good black holes without follow-up, and the Axe is going to actually give him some damage here as Shadow Demon goes down.
We've got a continuation though on the chase. Flares is just going in deep on this one. EMP slowing him down, taking away some mana, but he's still got plenty to even send off a stun or two and be able to reincarnate. But top, there is pressure, so that tier 2 might be in danger for it. It seems just trying to do the best he can of slowing it down. And I think this is that's it. Say so on there, the Prophet is the only one really stopping Bravado getting near the high ground.
Yeah, the Prophet is pretty much all of Flint at this point. Ooh, we're on ultimate. Both heroes going to blink away from each other, but Habibi thinking better of it. The Invoker continuing to run EMP to cover their tracks. Flares is going to walk into it. Which actually, I mean, one EMP does nothing to him. Two EMPs in a row, that actually does do something. But yeah, they're pretty much all the Furion at this point, at least for a while. Like, the Furion needs to buy them time to the point where the Kunka gets a Daedalus, or at least a Crystallis, if not a Daedalus. And the Invoker, I don't know, gets some levels, basically. I mean, still level 11. He's honestly been level 11 for over 10 minutes.
Still 11?
Yeah, he's still level 11. So, like, yeah, they basically just lack damage at this point. I mean, they've got the control, but they can't actually kill heroes when they get them. So, like Scant said, that's why we do have an Aghanim's Enigma, although he's still not going to do it by himself. Oh my god.
Well, if he gets off the Midnight Pulse and the Black Hole on, like, everyone, then he might actually be able to do it by himself with a double Midnight Pulse, because it stacks on itself.
Yeah, I mean, so that would be like, what, 56% of their health? Just from the Midnight Pulses, not counting the Black Hole, so we're looking at like 60 to 70% of a full HP bar. That's true.
The Furon LT, yeah.
Yeah, that would basically get it done, actually, so Enigma's going to have to carry this one for him, I guess.
They're hoping, that's perfection though you're asking for from the Enigma, and also hoping for Bravado to clump up like that. Oh, hang on, Flares, he's lost a lot of mana. He hasn't got any reincarnation, so he just wants to back out of this fight. He needs his second life just in case the worst happens. Seam gonna get a two-man call over here, misses the silence completely. Arrow as well going to whiff, and with that boat coming in, I think Bravado might have second thoughts about whether or not they want to go in for a fight just yet. They haven't lost any men just yet, but actually we're starting to see a little bit of damage from Donny. Is he going to follow it up with anything? We've also got the Dagon now from Seam, and they are going to manage to bring down Shadow Demon and Kunkka. Here comes Thompson, doing stuff and not really succeeding at it.
So, I'm actually a little bit shocked. There was definitely some lack of coordination there from Bravado Emo. The Wraith King and Habibi were standing near each other for quite a while. All Habibi had to do was press his Arcanes, and it would allow the Wraith King to be much more ballsy in that fight. But instead the Wraith King basically had to play back the entire time because he was afraid of dying without the reincarnation mana, and Habibi didn't actually use his Arcanes the entire time anyway, so it's not like he was saving them for after an EMP or something, since the EMP had already gone off. Which, yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but it was kind of good that the Wraith King backed off a little bit, because he was actually able to defend from the Prophet, who he's going to catch bottom.
Well, I'm going to do the unthinkable here, and actually say something even more critical than Harry.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I think this game just feels a lot like a pub. Like, you know, when I talk about teams hitting each other's, like, they're obviously all great players, but the coordination just does feel lacking on both sides. Everyone hits, you know, just charges at each other, fights, and whoever wins, wins. And I think the team with the Wraith King is usually going to win in those kind of battles.
The XP, man. Look at the XP chart. That is such a ridiculous amount of XP. I want to find the levels as well. Where are you, levels? 21, the highest level on Flint is 15, and then you've got a Wraith King on 21. In this fight at the moment, there's going to be Rubik will die, but look at it, the rest of the Flint players are just perishing at a quick pace. There's going to be the Aegis popped for Donny. But are we going to have a chase-up at all? Moonlight Shadow coming in? I really think just go objective-based gaming right now, Bravado. Sunstrike is gonna get.
Oh,
Oh, he
lot
actually
of
got the kill.
Atos.
He had no
Lot of
mana.
Atos doing work.
Radovato's too good. Also, Flair's walking into Necrobook units as a Skeleton King.
Oh god, actually Bravado guys are gonna fall. He can't get the kill. That is a huge bounty. There is gonna be Seam who comes in just to pick up the wreckage a little bit and try and get himself a safe kill. It was Thompson who died, yeah.
I mean, what was Flair's even doing? Like, he was like walking with Seam towards the bottom, but they weren't really chasing after the Invoker because the Invoker walked up into the base, whereas they were kind of like taking a line towards the tier 2 when there was, like, if they wanted a tier 2, they were just leaving a tier 2 in mid. So, like, Scant, maybe did you see something that I didn't? Where was Flair's going there that he just like decided to lose all his mana to Necrobooks?
It's related to this head bashing I'm talking about. It's what you call bloodlust. I don't mean the skill in Dota, but it's a style of play, right? You get the sense of some blood and you just go and go and go, and it's been working for Bravado mostly in this game, just kind of like charging forward, constantly getting more kills. Occasionally they lose output, but they're definitely winning overall on the basis of this kind of mentality. And maybe early on, I mean, maybe saying it's club Dota is a bit too critical. It's more reminiscent of kind of Dota you see in CIS in Russia and Ukraine, where a lot of the top tier teams do tend to play like this, just all out aggression, rolling on your momentum. Second you smell any blood, you just go in. Look at the bot lane, speaking of that. Yeah, Thompson is going down. It's another theme of this game that I brought up a long time ago, and I want to bring up again now just to ask what you guys think about this. This Kunkka and this Enigma are the two people who are usually playing cores along with Thompson in this team. Sorry, other way around, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mixed it up, right? So they've switched their supports with their cores in this game, and I just get this feeling that the Kunkka's item progression and the Nature's Prophet's item progression were kind of slow in this game, even before they started losing. So it could be something to do with switching around who's playing what.
It's not something that would be done to throw off Bravado, because I don't think Bravado's got enough experience against him for it to matter. I think maybe Flint kind of just maybe tried to be a little bit too smart.
Maybe,
if there's such a thing.
It's hard to get into the psychology of a team, because it could even be that they're angry that, say, Arya's Batrider was going in for all those crazy lassos, so now you're relegated to support for the next game. Like, that happens. Seriously, playing in a Dota team, I can tell you, that does happen. Like, people sometimes make calls like that, annoyed at teammates, and tell them now they don't get to take up as much responsibility or the same kind of responsibility in the next game.
I think Arya's the dropped as well. I think he got annoyed at himself. So I think maybe he relegated himself to a more support role just because he felt, right, Shadow Demon's kind of just pissed in general. And I think he's probably trying to avoid taking out the team. Instead, doing it to himself. Mid. Oh, that arrow. Close shave. Oh, the coil again. The coil of nothingness. That's the second time we've seen that.
I just want to give credit real quick, because he deserves it, to Habibi here.
Yeah.
Furion actually, so he was going after the Furion, he faced 4 steps forward, but the Furion sprouted himself, and he did a very good job putting himself right in that little corner of the trees, so that you can actually see inside the sprout to give himself vision and telekinesis the Furion up, preventing the Furion from TPing out and securing the kill for the Wraith King. So, despite kind of lacking the coordination earlier and not arcaning his teammate, this was definitely a good play by him.
Habibi, I would say, is the... I'm trying to think of the right words. The clearest thinking South African Dota player. He really does. He's very composed. He maintains a very clear mind, and so very rare that like pressure or heat of the moment will stop him from executing the right spells in the right order or anything like that.
What's the next item for Flares at the moment? He's just finished his Abyssal. Is he going to sell his drums next and upgrade with a... I don't know. What would you suggest? There's no Deso on the team, so that could be something.
I mean, if he's really scared of the Necro Creeps, maybe he wants to buy a BKB, although that would be a sort of strange reason to buy a BKB. It's not usually why people do buy it, and there's a lot of stuff that goes through BKB here, so I doubt he'll go for that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Assault Cuirass, since no one in the team has it, and pretty big. I mean, lacking in sort of 5v5 teamfight spells, it's often good to compensate by getting those kind of 5v5 teamfight items.
Yeah, the only problem is the Assault Grass actually, like, the armor is pretty insignificant for their team here, because they don't really, like, there's not a lot of physical damage actually coming out from Flint. I mean, most of their damage is coming out from that, speaking of the Enigma, the one who's about to get slammed in the middle again. From the Enigma, from the spells from the Invoker to some extent, and the Cleave from Kunkka, which is also not physical. So, I don't know, I mean, I think AC is probably still the most obvious choice. It's probably what I would go with, although I'm not sure that it's actually that effective even. I mean, it'll help them take base faster, I guess, which matters.
You know what, the reverse is also true though.
I can't believe that hit. Arya, he got taken by the arrow, and that's enough for them to want to go high ground. Confidence is reached. They've got to spread a little bit though, because Enigma is on his way back, and he's probably mad for a black hole if the opportunity comes. Blair's got to watch it. Well, he's got plenty of mana, so he's definitely going to be having another life on this. And oh, we've got movement in there from Donny. Jesus, well, he's just thrown down. Oh, here comes the black hole, but there's no support whatsoever, and Habibi denies it immediately. This is gonna be at least one lane of Rax right now. And
Habibi stole the black hole as one, hasn't even used it yet, didn't even need to. So
oh my.
He's got his own black hole and he needs it.
Habibi
with the blink and a
with the
force
plays.
fast too.
He doesn't. He can save it for a while though. I mean, he's level 17. That's gonna stay on him a long time until well, unless he either dies. But I don't think that's happening just yet. They're going for another lane of Rax. Absolutely the right thing to do. There's still the tier 2 on the top lane, so they might as well just hang around here at the moment. We've got reincarnation for flares. Oh, the arrow lands, and that's going to be flares. There's a long stun, and there's Habibi with the black hole. Everybody on Flint just dying over and over. I think we have got ourselves a game 1 winner over here. It is a best of 3 though, guys, so more action to ensue. And certainly a really confident start to the series.
Yeah, and you asked what Blair's going to buy next. He's going to buy nothing. The game's over.
That's it. He's just going to have over 7,500 gold sitting in his pocket. Well played, Bravado Emotion. Flint, they're going to have to... Well, they've already been putting their heads together, but they're going to have to put it a little bit more cautiously and think quickly how they're going to be able to come back from this. It seemed it was a really nice kind of early to mid game, going back and forth in places, but as soon as that Wraith King stretched like a 2-3k gold, there was no coming back for any of the carries on Flynn.
And I think Scant and I would both agree that this, like, as very prolific drafters,